Building today, well, for this build is a Sasaki copy from 1716 Stradivarius model, and what I just do is take some of the outlines from the scroll and for the plates, and then I kind of modify it for my own taste, but it's based on Strad's 1716 violin, and it was pre-measured by Sasaki back in the States, and he mapped it perfectly. So for me, it was my first violin I ever built as a model, and I've been doing it 5 times so far. So I like the model, and it gives me endless possibilities. But if you find one outline or one thing what brings you the most interest on the violins, I think that one would be it for me. And then every violin I make is slightly different anyway. After the blocks were done, what we did is the first C corner. So we only chopped the blocks to fit the C piece of rib into the mold, and I left all of the sides still bigger because, well, it gives a little bit more strength, and when you're knocking things around, there's less damage.
How much were these brass clamps? Do you remember how much
plan goes together. I didn't play the ring. That's the main thing. When you have inside mold is because every single violin is unique itself. This one is what makes your plates and the shape of the plates. So that's why ribs are the most important part of the violin itself, because it pretty much gives you outline of your plates and the whole violin itself. So small details, and more time I spend on it, more I know I didn't screw up. So that's why that was one of the most boring things in the shoot itself, because we repeat the same thing all over again, so until we get it all perfect. So, and a little bit about the wood choice. So for the ribs I did choose Bosnian maple, more in Europe. Actually this piece was a Christmas present from my boss. So for this build I did select quite a range of materials. So about 5 years ago I got Christmas present, and I chose to sit on it for 5 years, and this time they were fully seasoned. I like to keep the wood in the workshop at least few years, and if I have to wait, I will wait. Then you can see me scribing things in and writing things down on the ribs, and try to get the reflection all same way. So for this one I did choose the sad face style. It means when you look at the end block here, you will see the grains going a little downwards like that, and it makes a sad face. And that's all into it. And if you are really happy person, you could make it other way around, but it's not cool. Art is suffering, I guess. So, and I do like a little bit more of a, it just looks faster. I don't know why, but when you have the grain lines going nicely in there, it just seems to work the best. So that's about that. There's a multiple ways to do different flame configurations in there. I just went to the standard model, so nothing fancy. For the blocks, I did choose a willow. Reason being, well, it might be a little heavier, but I do reduce my block size quite dramatically, so it's not going to be this big. It's going to be here, and I like the grain. It cuts like butter. It's just absolutely fantastic wood. So some people don't use it, some people do. It's all preference. So as long as the violins are good, it's all that. And for this build, I did first time actually use a basswood linings and the one piece linings for the linings, so it would be one continuous line. Normally you would see me to do separate C's and then separate top and bottom bouts, but well, had to have some excitement for the film, so some of this I just tried first time and it seemed to work, so I'm quite happy about it. Everything is organic for me. After a while you get with the templates, you get about 70-80% close, and after that it's all I. So for me it's more interesting. It also makes every violin totally different. So it matters if you had a good day when you made the ribs, well, you had a good outline, and some days you don't, but you can always fix little details, and the asymmetry, that's the key word in the whole violin. So it doesn't need to be perfect. It's how I say it, it's unique. It had its birth, and different tree, every material goes to it, it's unique itself. So why you try to mold something into what it's not? So organic in the sense of the outlines, how every single little detail or mistake or off cut just brings more into the beauty of the violin itself. If it's all perfect, it would be boring. So it's the same thing with humans. It should be imitating human voice and human, all of the imperfections in humans also. So it is really close, at least to my heart. It's almost like a person itself. You become a creator and you make your perfect friend, in a sense. You mimic anything what is human into the violin itself. So I think that's the most exciting of it, when it's made by someone else and they just sell them through workshop lines. It just does, they get close, but it just doesn't have the same feel to me. So I think that's the closest. You try to make your best friend and create it from imperfect things. The definition for factory, workshop and the master-made or individual-made violin is basically how many hands touches the violin. So before they had bigger machines, everything was handmade. There was no doubt about that. They use hand saws and all that. But when you go to the point of there's probably 50 to 100 people working on one violin. Not perfect, but that's the X factor of the build. You can select everything to the point of you cannot do it any better, and the end result can be still disappointing. And sometimes you think you totally failed and the violin just sounds outstanding. Normally have been doing spruce violins, but the basswood this time. So to work on other things. Tools, my own. This bending iron. Normally you would buy them from different outfits, and this one was made by this one fellow in England who just did it on the side. Didn't really had big manufacture, but most of the violins nowadays it's made by computer itself. So you get the routers and computerized routers, and everything is just, you pop it in the machine and it does it for you. So yes, it is production, but same what we can say is if someone has being a photographer and takes a picture and now makes limited prints out of it, 50 prints, well, they are priced slightly different. And now when you sell the rights to Walmart or any big chain, now that value of the print is probably $5. Now limited prints, they can run on thousands, and if you have one individual frame photo, no copies, now that runs way up in tens of thousands. So same can be said of violin. You have an art piece that is made by someone, designed by someone, and put its pretty much sweat and tears, blood and soul into a build and try to make it the most beautiful thing ever. And they will remember every single instruments they have made. And most of the makers, you buy one of theirs, it doesn't matter how old and how long time it was done. Any maker who sees its own child, so to speak, will be thrilled to see it. Now if you compare to that any other mass-produced item, well, less proud fathers, I guess, around. And for the material wise, most of the factory ones are made time in mind, so whatever dries the fastest and makes the easiest bit will do. And for more of a workshop and individual makers, we will select the wood, and if we do cheap violins, you don't use your best piece of wood on there. Sometimes factory violins are good because it's random. I think in Finland we have a saying, even a blind chicken will find a seed. It means in one of those big piles there can be really nice pieces of wood and someone just worked slightly better on it and you got nicer violin. Hopefully this one sparked interest of young makers and people who want to learn making. That's my take on this.